everyone, this is me Aastha, and today we're going to be talking about the Harappan civilization. This is the fourth chapter from the book History of Ancient and Early Medieval India from the book by Upinder Singh. And First, we will be talking about the introduction section, and then we will see the civilization and urbanization definition and its implications. Some important facts at first. So, what happened was that in 1826, Charles Mason, now this person, and he was an adventurer who had deserted the East India Company army, and he stood on the mound of Harappa, a village in Sahiwal district of Punjab, and he was convinced that this person it must be the place that in 4th century where the Macedonian invader Alexander, who had defeated Porus in a battle. So this was the place. But few years later, a traveler named Alexander Burns, he visited Harappa, and he thought that it was an important site, but he was clueless about its and precise significance about it. So, and after many decades later, in 1850s, Harappa was visited by Alexander Cunningham. He was a military engineer at that time with East India Company who was keenly interested in archaeology. He conducted a small excavation and discovered the remains of some structures, but he was not impressed. So he revisited Harappa, Alexander Cunningham. We also know him as father of Indian archaeology. He in 1872 he revisited the site, and he came as a director general of the newly established Archaeological Survey of India. He was really unhappy to see that the mounds, they were badly disturbed by the railway contractors who had they were like really busy extracting the free bricks. So he found some stone tools and ancient pottery, and he also obtained a seal with a bull and some strange writing. So he was intrigued, but concluded that since the bull did not have a hum, so the seal must be a foreign one. So he missed the very important clue about it. So the officers of Archaeological Survey of India who explored Harappa and Mohenjo-daro in the early 20th century, they were really unenthusiastic about the site. And Pandit Hariananda Shastri, he reported that he did not think that there was any point of excavating Harappa, and D.R. Bhandarkar's assessment was that Mohenjo-daro, it could not be more than 250 years old. So again and again, we have seen people making remarks about it and being wrong about the sites. And now what happened that an important fact, in 1920, Dayaram Sahani, he started excavating at Harappa, and 1921, D.R. Banerjee, he started excavating Mohenjo-daro. But it took few more years for the true significance of the discovery at these sites to be understood. And the formal announcement of the discovery of Indus or Harappa civilization was made in 1924 by John Marshall. He was the Director General of the Archaeological Survey, and almost a century after Charles Mason had wandered over the mounds of Harappa and sensed that there was something significant about that place. And yeah, the implication of Marshall's dramatic announcement was enormous, and an important and exciting fragments of India's past had been uncovered, and the beginning of the civilization in India was pushed back some 2,500 years to a time roughly contemporary with the civilization of Mesopotamia and Egypt. So this was the introduction. Hope it was easy. And if you still have any doubts about it, do comment it. I'll try to reply. So now we will be talking about civilization and urbanization, its definitions and implications. So what is urbanization? It basically means the emergence of cities. What does civilization means? It, on the other hand, means it has more abstract and grander connotation, but refers to a specific cultural stage. It is basically, if you want to know what it is cities and writing. Okay, so this is the basic difference between urbanization and civilization. So there are a few examples given here that archaeologists have described Neolithic settlement as urban on the basis of size and architecture, even in the absence of writing. There is the case in 8th millennium BCE, Jericho in Jordan Valley. Then in 7th millennium BCE, settlement at Catalhuyuk, sorry if I mispronounced it, in Turkey. And it has also pointed out that Mayan civilization of Mesoamerica and Mycenaean civilization of Greece, and it did not have true cities, while the Inca civilization of Peru, it did not have system of true writing. However, apart from few exceptions, cities and writings, they tend to go along and together, and urbanization and civilization, they are more or less synonymous, so we use it interchangeably. So, basic difference is that one means cities and the other means cities and writings. While we can, but we can use both of them interchangeably. Yeah. So now we will be talking about the definition of a city, like what is city, right, by different scholars. So P. Gordon Child, he in 1950 he described the city as a result and symbol of revolution that marked a new economic stage in evolution of society. So previously we have seen that he mentioned about Neolithic revolution. So he's the same person, and here he's talking about what is city, and he's saying that it is a city is a result and symbol of revolution that marks a new economic stage in a evolution of a society. So, like the earlier Neolithic revolution, urban revolution was neither sudden nor violent. It is the culmination of centuries of gradual social and economic changes. So, Child identified 10 abstract criteria, all supposedly deducible from archaeological data, which distinguished the first cities from the older and contemporary villages. So, he gave 10 criteria, which are here given here. So, the 10 characteristics of cities, according to Child, was that the first is that world's first cities were larger and more densely populated than village. So first is about population. Second, he talks that while the city population may have included some farmers, herdmen, and it also comprised full-time craft persons, merchants, transporters, officials, and priests, these groups were supported by surplus food produced by farmers. So were the groups, they were supported by surplus produced by the farmers. The third point is that farmers, they had to hand over their surplus produce as tax or tribute to the ruling elites. So we have seen in the case of Mahajanpadas or other kingdoms or wagera, like things, we have seen that people have to pay taxes or tributes. So this is what he's trying to say, that they had to hand over the surplus produce as taxes. And then fourth point is that monumental buildings, public buildings, were hallmarks of cities and reflected the concentration of social surplus, that is the surplus produced and wealth generation in the society in the hands of elite. Okay. Then fifth, it talks about the trade-off between there must have been trade-off between ruling classes and rest of the society. Rulers lived off the surplus produced by the farmers, and in return they provided them peace and security, planning and organization. So this is this. And then sixth point is the invention of system of recording, like writing and numeral notations, helping meet the needs of administration. So when all these things will be happening, then we would need something to write on and record, right? So this is what he's trying to say. And then the next point is about the invention of and writing. It might have led to the development of exact but practically useful science such as arithmetic, geometry, astronomy, creation of calendar, etc. So then he talks about the A point is conceptualized and sophisticated style of artistic expression made their appearance, and then 9 talks about the cities implied a significant amount of long distance trade. So trade must be there. If city is there, trade will be there. So they also implied a state organization based on residence. in a territory rather than on kinship. The state provides security and materials to specialist craft persons, enabling them to live a settled rather than a itinerant life. So this is about the settled life, and these were the 10 characteristics of cities. And now, Child's observation proved that to be starting. It proved to be a starting point of important debates on the diagnostic features of urban societies. Now, some scholars they did not agree with the use of word revolution to describe urbanization as Child did, as it suggests sudden, deliberate change, right? Further, his 10 criteria, it seems to be loose assemblage of overlapping features and are not arranged in a sequence of relative importance. So they are of this view, and like for instance, it has been pointed out here that like sophisticated artistic style as important as was it as important as agricultural surplus or state structure. Further, all 10 features example exact and predicted signs, they are not directly deducible from the archaeological data. Another objection is that some features, such as monumental architecture, specialized craft, and long distance trade, are occasionally found in non urban contexts as well. However, if we consider 10 characteristics collectively instead of individually, it will be considered that child did succeed in identifying the most significant feature and implications of city life. So these are some of the things that have been pointed out about the points, the criteria that have been given by Child. So if we deal with them individually, we can point out some demerits about it. But if we collectively look at it, we will. He did mention about it. The more like it mentioned significant features about city life. Okay, and over the years there have been three different sorts of trends in defining the city. One is is to narrow down the diagnostic features, focusing for instance on writing, monumental structure, and large population. Then the second trend, it is to identify the more specific criteria such as the settlement size or architectural feature, that is for example fortification and the use of stone and bricks. Then uniform system of weights and measures. Then the third trend is towards more abstract definition, that is highlighting features such as cultural complexity, homogeneity, then far-reaching political control. So these are three definitions. So the various hypotheses they have been put forward to explain the rise of the world's first cities are reflective of how different scholars view and understand the unfolding of historical processes. So there are three scholars and they have given their views. Like first is Child. He emphasized the importance of technological and subsistence factors such as increasing food surpluses, copper bronze technology, and the use of wheel transport, sailboats, and plows. Then the second scholar, who is Robert McAdams, he emphasized on social factors, while Gideon, Gideon Joburg, he asserted that political factors played the pivotal role in emergence of cities. And yeah, so McAdam, he contributed to understanding of city life is his yeah is his where was I got lost. I'm sorry. City life in his highlighting the relationship between cities and hinterland. Yeah, so he has talked about cities and villages, and he says that these are not two opposite poles, but they are interdependent and interlinked with each other, and they are like interacting parts of large cultural and ecological system. So while cities were no doubt ultimately sustained by agricultural surplus produced in village, so like for example we will also be talking about the same thing in modern history as well. So see, cities it can be applied in current context as well, like how villages, like rural cities sustain on villages produce, and how the rural people also depend on cities for some things. So this is what he has pointed out. Cities were no doubt ultimately they were sustained by agricultural surpluses produced by villages. the generation, appropriation, and deployment of agricultural surpluses. It was neither automatic nor purely economic phenomenon, and were governed by social political factors. So McAdam has highlighted that multiple roles were played by the cities. There were notes for the appropriation and distribution of agricultural surpluses, and they provided a permanent base for new social and political institutions that regulated the relationship between specialized producers occupying different eco niches. They were centers for the safe storage of surpluses, concentration of wealth, and for expenditure on public building programs by the elite groups. They were centers of learning, artistic creativity, philosophical debates, and development of religious ideas. So this is his view. Now we'll come to Gideon Stroberg, and he in 1964 he emphasized the close connection between the history of cities and rise and fall of empires. He argued that the political control was crucial in maintaining the social organization of empires, and it provides stability which is necessary for the development of trade and commerce. He elaborated on many facets of cities' functions and features. The concentration of population in relatively small space in cities, it allowed a greater level of protection and security that provided that security then possible in a village, and then it also facilitated communication and exchange of goods and services among specialists. Elite groups tended to be concentrated in the city and usually lived near its center. The city was hence the place where political decision was taken, military strategies planned. Apart from being centers of intellectual and commercial activities, since elite groups were usually also patron of arts, cities also became center of cultural and artistic activities. So these are some views about cities, villages, etc. So now we'll come to the conclusion part. So over the years, various factors such as population growth, long distance trade, irrigation, then class conflicts, these have been suggested as having played an important role in emergence of cities. Actually, as is the case with all complex cultural phenomenon, a variety of factors such as social, political, economic, technological, and ideological must have been involved in conjunction with each other, and the details of the interplay could have varied from culture to culture. Since archaeology forms the primary source for reconstruction, the emergence of world's first city, there is more direct information on technological aspect rather than other factors, which can be understood only in very general terms. So the emergence of city has to be viewed as a part of longer history of human settlement, both rural and urban. The story of urbanization is one of increasing cultural complexity, a widening food resource base, greater technological sophistication, expanding craft production, social stratification, and the emergence of level of political organization that can be described as a state. So this is it. If you like my video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Do comment it below if you have any query. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Bye.